All right, today we're zooming in on a tiny creature that's making some surprisingly big waves. Meet the dwarf honeybee. It's on the move, popping up in all sorts of new places, and it's forcing us to ask a really simple question. Is this little guy a friend or a foe? So, take a good look. Have you ever seen one of these bees buzzing around your neighborhood? Because you might be seeing a lot more of them very soon. Part of what makes it so successful is just its incredible adaptability, which is basically letting this tiny bee go on a massive global tour.
Okay, so let's get properly introduced. Who exactly is this tiny traveler, the dwarf honeybee?
Well, first off, as the name kind of gives away, it's pretty small. But the real telltale sign, the thing you can't miss, is that wide, bright orange band on its abdomen. It's a dead giveaway. And notice this. They're wild. You're not going to find them in those neat wooden hives. Nope. They build a single, small wax comb right out in the open, maybe on a tree branch. But here's the fascinating part. Even though it's tiny and lives this wild lifestyle, its social life is incredibly complex and honestly pretty familiar. Just like regular honeybees, they have a queen, they have workers, and they even use that famous dance language to tell each other where to find the best flowers. Now let's talk about its home. Because where this bee decides to build its nest is one of its most interesting and, let's be honest, problematic traits. And this just lays out the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got the dwarf honeybee's home, that one little comb, totally exposed, hanging off a branch or even a building. Now, compare that to the western honeybee on the right, which is all snug and protected inside an enclosed hive. It's basically the difference between camping out in the open versus living in a fortified house. So, we know what it is and where it lives, but what's it actually like to have them around? Is this the kind of guest you want moving into your neighborhood? Well, it's complicated. This slide really captures the bee's split personality. On the one hand, you have its gentle side. Individually, it's not aggressive at all, and its stinger is so tiny it causes hardly any pain. But on the other hand, their behavior as a group is a huge headache. They're constantly migrating, and they're not picky. They'll build nests on balconies, schools, hospitals, and that creates all kinds of problems for people. Which, of course, brings us to the big question on everyone's mind as this bee spreads. Is its arrival ultimately a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, there's no simple answer, and you can see why right here. It's a total mixed bag. The biggest slice of the pie, 40%, is just the fact that it's a nuisance to people. But right behind that, at 35%, is its huge benefit to pollination. And then there's that other 25%, the potential threat it poses to other local bees.
So let's dig into those negatives. We've talked about it invading human spaces, but a much bigger ecological worry is the risk of it spreading diseases to local honeybee populations. As it moves from place to place, it could act as a vector, picking up illnesses from one colony and carrying them to the next. And if you're thinking, well, at least we get some honey out of the deal, think again. An entire colony produces, at most, half a kilogram of honey. That's it. It's commercially insignificant, which means beekeepers have pretty much zero incentive to try and manage them. But, and this is a really big but, here's the major positive. This bee is an incredibly effective pollinator. Its real superpower is its toughness. It thrives in harsh desert environments where other bee species just can't survive. That makes it ecologically vital for supporting plant life in some of the world's toughest climates. Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture of this tiny traveler's journey, because it is far from over. This bee is on a world tour. Its journey really started in places like the Arabian Peninsula, where it's a common sight. From there, it's recently pushed out into Jordan and parts of Egypt. So what's next? Well, scientists predict its next big move will be a sweep across North Africa, from Libya all the way to Morocco. And after that, it's not totally out of the question that it could eventually make the jump into southern Europe. This quote just sums up the whole conflict perfectly, doesn't it? It's a gentle creature. It's not looking for a fight, but its basic nature, its constant need to migrate and build a nest in any spot it can find, that's what puts it on a collision course with people. So we're left with this final thought. This tiny nomad is on an unstoppable journey. It's no longer a question of if it's going to arrive in new places, but when. So the real question is, as it continues this expansion, how will our world, our cities, and our native ecosystems change to adapt to this uninvited and very complicated new best?